Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are from. Thanks for being here. It is spooky season, so my background is orange, and spooky things happening during the pre-show there. Yeah, what's up today? So my headphones are up a little bit loud, and I can hear myself through them, and it's distracting. Well, thanks for being here. What is going on? We got some things to talk about today. I've had a little bit of an adventure this week, and yeah, hopefully be able to share some photos and videos and stuff like that. So I got a camera. Let's start with that. And new camera. This is not the new camera, by the way. It's at a different angle. We'll get there in a minute, but new camera, which we're going to try out a little bit, and maybe I can show you some. It's not actually very well lit, so I don't know what's going to look like on camera if I try to show it to you, but it can be fun. Anyway, I'm piecing things together here, and my chair is really squeaky for some reason. I don't really know why. Yes, and spooky season as the chair squeaks. The other problem with my stream today is so the map didn't work, you may have noticed, and I was then like, oh my god, why isn't the map working? And then I realized actually what happened was I was doing some tests over the weekend, and a couple things. I wanted to test a couple things. Found some new bugs, always fun, and made mainly because I was doing a really long 3D print. So I redesigned the little box that I had printed out for the DJI Mini 2, and I had found someone's design on Thingiverse, and it was pretty good, really good start, but I wanted a couple tweaks to it, so I did make a couple tweaks to it, and now everything fits in there very neatly. But this is this was 28 hours to print this part and like 10 to print this part, so very, very long prints. And I was like, oh, I want to be able to keep an eye on the prints as they're progressing, and I was like, oh well, I have a thing to do that. I have a Owncast install at on a website which is available. It's public even, although it's down right now for reasons. Let's see if I can actually restart it right now. Is that? No, that probably wasn't the problem. It's probably this one. There it goes. So it's printer.aaronpk.tv. And do I have my super source set up? I sure do. And it's offline right now, but I was streaming to this and it worked. I linked down to what I was actually printing if you're curious. And it was going pretty well. And then suddenly at like 9:30 p.m. 2 days ago, it just stopped. And I was like, that's weird. And for some reason, that entire server just crashed. It's in my closet. I don't know why. It's crashed before. I think I probably just need to like reformat and start over. Crashed. I was like, okay, well, that's too bad. I wasn't planning on going to the studio again. So what can I do to keep an eye on the print? And I was able to use Mix Effect on my phone to reconfigure the stream to push to YouTube instead. So then I pushed to an unlisted YouTube URL. And that was working fine. I was able to configure it all remotely, and I didn't have to be at the studio to do that. That was nice. And let me see if I can find that one. I have, it is this one. Yes. So was it this one? Yeah. Yeah. So I ran this for a little while. It's not terribly interesting, but you can watch it. It's kind of fun. So here's the 12-hour long 3D print. And I actually moved a G7 camera that I had taken off of the stand that I was using where the new box camera is. Took that camera, put it upstairs, set it up with some nice lights, and here's the video. So it was, going along just fine, and I got some music in there and everything. And then suddenly it just stopped close to the end of the print, but not quite. And you might notice that the timestamp at which it stops is, oh, now it's interesting. It's shaved off 5 minutes. It actually used to be 11:59:59. I don't know why it changed, unless I'm just remembering wrong. But it was at a very suspicious, precise moment that it stopped. And I was like, that's weird. And I was like, can I just restart the stream on the ATEM? But the ATEM Mini Extreme wasn't responding to the on-air button. This is the one that I have this one in the studio. So, oh, good, this camera's back. I was using this one to stream. So I just had a wireless HDMI receiver receiving the stream from upstairs, running into here. This was streaming to YouTube. And like the switcher was working fine, but the on-air button wouldn't work anymore. So it just didn't do anything when I pressed it. And again, I was not actually here to be able to reboot it. So I was like, well, that's too bad. I guess I have no other option. Also, why did it stop at 11:59:59? And I was like, that's a very suspicious number. I have a feeling there's a real reason. And I looked it up, and there is a limit on YouTube, which is that DVR live stream. So if you look at the YouTube studio, you have an option to turn on DVR. And DVR does two things. It means that your viewers, when you're live, they can scroll back in time and catch up. So at any point when you're watching this right now live, you can scrub back on the playhead and catch up, go back and watch things or whatever, which is a cool feature. Great. And when I stop the live stream, it will archive it. It will keep it on the channel, and you can go back and watch it at any time. That's what the DVR button does. There is another option if you want DVR but to not have it public, you can unlist it once it ends, which is a different option, but that's not related. So DVR does those two things. And the there's a limit on YouTube, which is documented by YouTube, that says DVR only works for up to 12 hours. There's a 12-hour limit on DVR video live streams. And I was like, okay, so I guess that means YouTube just shut down the stream, and whatever it sent back when it did that confused the ATEM, and it was unable to resume. So it like didn't realize it was off air maybe, or I don't know what it was. Like it just crashed it completely. And then I wanted to do another test of, can I stream for more than 12 hours? Because I know I've seen streams that are more than 12 hours. And I turned off DVR. I started a stream last night at 8:30 p.m. my time. And that meant that by now we are an hour and a half past 12 hours. And that video, it doesn't look like anything anymore because it is frozen because it does not have the DVR. So I just let this stream overnight, just running continuously, and it is like it says offline. It's still thinks it's live. Like if I go into the YouTube studio, I still have the end stream button because I haven't actually ended it on YouTube. So if I continue to push video to this stream key, it'll just pick up again. I don't know what frame that is. That's interesting. Or why it's different from that one. YouTube has a couple different... Oh, and they're showing me a couple of seconds of replay on this. You can see the timer is counting up. I put a clock on the timer to keep track of it. Anyway, weird little things. And this one does not have DVR, so you can't scroll back. And it was still going more than 12 hours afterwards, like you'd expect. Great, that makes sense. So that's what I learned, is that DVR limits it to 12 hours, and then it will crash the ATEM if you are streaming to that, and you have to reboot it. So, okay, all this to say, why is this related to the map and my chat not working today? Turns out that the way that I run the chat for my show and the map is I actually wrote some custom code that goes and hits the YouTube API to grab the chat from the API. That pulls it into a separate dashboard on my screen. It's able to push that over to the map to look up locations, all that kind of stuff. It also ends up saving it in my own database so that you can go back to old live streams, and you can go back to old live streams and actually look up what we were chatting about. So where is it? I usually link it in every video. So if you go back to any of the old streams on the channel, you should see a link somewhere in the description below. I think I've already put it on this one, although it's not going to work on this show now. But if we go back to, let's say, last week's. So here's last week's and questions from the stream. So here is the link. You click on that, and here's all the questions that I showed on the screen and the timestamp at which I showed them. So we can go and see what we were talking about during the show. 2246 sneak peek soft launch. Click on that timestamp, jump directly to, hopefully, a couple seconds off sometimes. There it is. And now you can see, I think I actually did that intentionally to give a little bit of context. But yeah, now you jump right to that part of the video where that was shown on the screen. Very cool. That's all driven through that database. What makes it work is that I need API access to YouTube. What did I just do for the last now 3 days, pretty much? Streamed 24/7. And the process that uses to pull the chat, it's completely automated, which means it essentially I blew through all the rate limits on the Google API. And now I'm getting errors saying I have exceeded my quota because I have been hitting the endpoint for pulling the chat every 30 seconds or whatever it is for now 2 days of all these streams. So, oops, not a lot I can do about that right now, unless what can I do about this? I would need, I guess I need, assuming it's a, I'm worried I'm going to mess it entirely up if I try to do it. But if I change the API keys, I might be able to get it to work, but that's going to take a little while. And I'm really sad about it because I like having the archive of all the questions. Anyway, so then I was like, well, if I want to show chats on the screen at all, at least I have an extension for this. So I use my own chat extension, the non-API version, and drop that into OBS. I forgot I changed all my settings. I was trying to do like a 4K version of it for PhotoJoseph. So it was all messed up and I had to tweak all the settings. And then I forgot that when you add a web source in OBS, like it just goes and it has like a default screen. So that's why you saw that in the countdown sequence. Anyway, yeah, so I can show messages on the screen. They're just not archived. Yeah, how does that map work? Also, I don't get my little Q filter right now either because it's not part of the extension. It was part of the API. So I can, all I'm doing is I'm just seeing it in normal chat order. So that's how the map works. It's all custom code. Pulls it from the API, YouTube API, and then runs it through a geocoder to figure out what location the dot should be at. And yeah. Oh well. Oh man, my chair is so squeaky. Okay, so look at the box. Yeah, it's a cool little box. Let me just show you a little bit more about the box because I am very pleased with it. So it is for DJI Mini 2, and that camera is a little bit dark. What can I do about that? Let's go like that. DJI Mini 2 with the controller and the battery pack. The one that I found on Thingiverse is very similar. It's a little bit smaller, but it is missing a couple things. So that works. That works. The controller goes in here, but you have to take off the little joysticks. So, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're putting it in like your soft bag. And then the joysticks, they tuck in the controller at the bottom. So, yeah, pull that out, put these on, grab your phone, and then attach the phone up here. There's the little cable for it, which I usually take out more gracefully than that. Anyway, what I found was, especially when I'm doing, when I was like pulling out the drone every couple miles on the bike trail, it was kind of frustrating having to do the little joysticks every time, and I can't put this anywhere else in the bag because there's nothing else to set it on because I was biking. So I was like, okay, I really want to be able to put this into a case with the joysticks still on it and have it be protected. And then also the phone that I use is my old iPhone XS, which has only one app installed. I wiped everything and I installed only the DJI app, and I leave it in airplane mode, and I have no notifications or anything. So it's a lot nicer that way. And so then I was like, okay, I want to redo the case so that I can put everything into one case, including my phone. So that is the deal. Also, there's space at the bottom you can see for a little accessory. So I have like the strobe light and the SD card reader, and the propeller's over here. So I added a slot for the phone. I made it so that the controller goes in with the joysticks. Obviously, it's not going to hurt the joysticks because it's all rigid. And then that goes there, and that goes there, and this goes on top. I haven't yet put the magnets in because I just came off the printer this morning. There's 4 little magnets that are going to go here, and that is how this kind of just latches on. You can kind of see it at work. Oops. Yes. Here, it's not super strong because it is holding, but it's not super strong because they're actually a little bit too far down. So they don't come all the way to the top, so they're not gripping really. So yeah, that's my little case. I'm very pleased with it. The model is up on Thingiverse. You can download it. It's remixed from this other guy's, so there's a couple of other variations too. But I like this one, and it fits my phone perfectly. It was an interesting process to actually do this, because basically what I did is I took the model of the other one, and then he actually shipped it with like step files so that it had a better geometry in it. And then I I basically did like a, what do you call it? Geometry math. So I put a block into like around the whole thing and then subtracted it. So I got a shape of the inside bits of all these. So I didn't have to remodel, because I don't have a model of the actual parts, but I just basically took his shapes that were the spaces inside there and then subtracted those from my own block, and then I could move them around. So it was interesting. Yeah. Learning to do 3D printing is on my list. It is a whole thing. I will just say that. Yeah, that's fun. So again, 28 hours, I think, for the base, and 10 for the top, which is a very, very long print and kind of expensive, because it's like, uses like half a spool. So yeah, okay, here is the original DJI Mini 2 case, and then here is, so here's what that first one, which is the one that I actually printed somebody else's variation of this one. If you go down to remixes, you can see everybody else's, and the one that I had done before was this one, where they added a little bit of storage space on the bottom, which I liked, and then now mine is here, and I'm gonna, now that I have it physically, I can go take photos of this and put it on the listing too. So these are just the 3D renderings. And now if you want, you can print this version of it too, but beware, it is a very long and expensive print. But it is fun. So I got to install the magnets still. And yeah. Yes, lots of 3D failing before 3D printing joy. It's very, very true. Will the Mini 3 fit? No, it is 100% custom for the Mini 2. The Mini 3 is a completely different shape. And I don't have the Mini 3, so I'm still thinking about getting it, but honestly, I probably won't. We'll find out. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I want to get. There's only so much money to spend on them, so we'll see. We are hiring CAD designers. Creaking chair goes great with the Halloween background theme. It was totally on purpose. Totally on purpose. Way better than pick and pluck foam. I agree. Yeah. So API rate limits. Yeah, and it's, you know, I really need to just, like, it keeps trying. Also, it's just totally automated. It keeps trying, and that's probably not helping anything. Where is that? I should just disable that right now. There we go. Okay. Let it settle down for a little while. I wonder if YouTube stopping DVR is similar to the network getting jammed up that you were talking about recently. It could be a similar kind of problem. I don't know. Again, I think it just kind of goes along the lines of the theme of Blackmagic stuff working great in ideal conditions, and then as soon as conditions become less than ideal, things kind of fall apart. So the network being intermittent instead of totally offline does not handle that well. And then unexpected situations like YouTube just shutting down the stream, which I don't really know what it sent back, but yeah. Okay, let me see if I can scroll back and see some of these comments, because I don't have my normal thing to look at them. Or no, I don't think I have enough time to deal with Google's API keys. Yeah, given the BGH1 purchase, maybe hold off on the Mini 3. Yeah, okay, let's talk about the BGH1 a little bit. So this is the box camera from Lumix, from Panasonic. And it is, I'm trying to find where is a good link for it. Let me at least get the product link in the chat, and then okay, there is the link for the BGH1. Very pretty little box camera. It is about that big, like 4 inches or so, and then micro four thirds lens. And then it's got all these little 1/4 inch threads all around, which is very convenient. And it has no screen, so it's just the camera guts. So you put a lens on it, and then it has HDMI, SDI, and interestingly Ethernet, which is one of the main reasons I was curious about it. So the Ethernet is also able to power it over power over Ethernet. So that is a very, very, very cool feature. So I only have 2 cables going to the camera. I can get my little phone camera out and show you. Let's do that. Where is my screen? This is the fastest way to get a wireless camera when I didn't prepare. Here we go. So, sorry, it's probably a little bit shaky. It is sitting up there, and it has only 2 cables going into it. SDI on that side, Ethernet on that side. And that is very appealing to me because I don't need to worry about power supplies under it either. And SDI is obviously for the video feed, and then the Ethernet is for control and power. So it gets its power from the network switch, and then it is able to just run off of that. So then you can access it over the network. So let me show you what that looks like. There is the Lumix Tether app, which is this app. So actually the frame rate on the preview is also pretty decent. This is probably obviously delayed compared to the audio, but whatever. It can connect to multiple cameras over here. You've got your little basic camera controls in this panel, and then this is a preview of the video, as well as gives you the tools like doing the autofocus, whether you want that line to appear, your grid lines, which is basically what you would see on a screen of the camera, of the back of a camera. And I've got the focus peaking and everything too. And then the actual feed itself is obviously clean, which you have an option for doing if you want to. So one of the cool things is if you press this menu button, it's like the whole menu of the camera appears in this little screen, just like you were using it on a real camera. So you can change everything about the camera is accessible from this menu, just like it would be if you were using a physical menu on a little screen on the back of the camera. So even like changing the network settings and all that kind of stuff. If you want, you can show the info over SDI if you're not using SDI for the clean feed, but you can also choose if you want the info over HDMI or SDI, or off if you only want to access it over the network, which is honestly probably what I should do. Although I could put an HDMI monitor on top. We'll see. So and then yeah, you get out of the menu and you go back to the preview screen. So you can change your white balance. You can change the focus, quality, recording, everything. Everything is here just like it would be on the real camera. And that is the main reason I'm interested in this camera, because right now, this camera that you're looking at me through is the Lumix G7, and it's behind that teleprompter, which obviously means there's no way for me to get to it. It's hiding behind the teleprompter. I can't reach it. Even if it wasn't behind the teleprompter, it's still too far away for me to reach. So that's remote control of that is super useful. So I'm probably going to move this camera into that teleprompter. I just wanted it out here first to be able to get it set up right and also be able to show it to you physically. Probably want to do some more photos of it before I hide it away. But it's so nice already being able to just have that accessible over the network and not have to deal with power cables either. So I'm super, super tempted to replace everything with this camera. Because, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah, PoE for a high-end camera is extremely cool. Not much audio delay in the tethered preview. That's awesome. That's super cool. The does it have a card reader? It does. It has 2 SD card slots, just like the GH5S and GH6. The so oh, I found a bug in my chat. I can't remember to fix that. Any thoughts on how it compares to the Sony FX30? I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with Sony cameras, especially the higher end ones. Really, my experience is on the A6400 and the cheaper ones. So the E10, or not cheaper, but oh yeah, they are cheaper. ZV-E10 and the point and shoot. So what is the picture quality compared to the Pocket Cinema camera? I personally like it better. I probably mainly because I don't really like color grading, turns out. And you have to put some sort of LUT onto the Pocket 4K. It has a couple built in, but I didn't like any of the built-in ones really. So you have to put a LUT onto it. And I just don't really like doing that. And the colors, this is the BGH1, which honestly is like doing the little G7 does surprisingly well, because these look, you know, pretty close just on this scene. But I like the colors pretty much straight out of camera. I've done a little bit of white balancing on this, but nothing fancy. Certainly no LUTs. So I like it a lot. PhotoJoseph has 5 of them in his studio, and all of his cameras are on that system now. So yeah, it's very tempting. What lens do I have on the BGH1? It is the 15 millimeter, so tiny lens, but it goes down to f1.7, which is nice. I'll probably put the 12 to 35 is what's on the G7 in here, and again, I can't reach it, so I can't physically change the zoom, but it is nice to be able to, if I do want to go closer in, I can go back there and change the zoom if I want to. So I'll probably put that lens on the BGH1 and keep it behind the teleprompter. Oh yeah, you can also output ProRes RAW using the Ninja V with the BGH1. That is true. There's a lot of really, really amazing features in this thing. Honestly, I'm not going to be using a lot of them because my main use of them is going to be for live streaming and recording these kinds of videos. And I don't record RAW. I don't care about getting that extra level of color quality in the recorded videos. So, but it is very cool that it has that. Neutral color on the BGH1 and does match the G7 pretty well. Have I tested the USB-C to HDMI adapters? Do you mean for the camera? I didn't think that was an option. I have not tested though. Philip says BGH1 is fun. Been using mine since last summer and find it so very useful, especially for live stream and multicam. Yeah, so multicam, once I eventually do get a second one or more, they will appear in this list up here. And then you can either like apply some settings you can apply to all the cameras at once. See how it says like, well, it's grayed out because I only have one, but once you have more than one, then this will let you change some of these settings and push it out to all the cameras. But also you can do things like export all of the camera's settings and then import them into other cameras. So it's very easy for this kind of scenario where you have a bunch of cameras that are gonna be in the same space and you wanna like put all your custom settings into them and then just copy it to all the cameras. It's perfect for that. It would take so much longer otherwise because this is all just over the network. And it is Micro Four Thirds, yeah. Oh, the DJI Inspire 2. I didn't realize that was also Micro Four Thirds. Cool. I've only used the tiniest little drone so far. This is a good point. Philip says it can also be used as a webcam over USB-C, which I have zero use for because my webcam connection is the ATEM or web presenter. So, but that is very cool too. If you just have like one at a table somewhere. Yeah, very, very cool camera. So I'm already a fan. It took me like 20 minutes of just playing with it. I was like, yes, this is the absolute perfect. This is exactly what I want in the camera. Oh, and I should talk about how this compares to the remote control options of the Blackmagic cameras. So the Blackmagic Pocket 4K and 6K, those are meant to work with the ATEM line, where the ATEM can do camera control of them. And if you go into one of the ATEMs, you get this whole section of controlling cameras. I don't have any Blackmagic cameras, so this is not going to actually do anything, but you get these styles of controls where you can change. This is, I believe, the aperture, but notice that all it says is open and close. And then this one changes, it's changing that one. So it's like, again, I can't show you what the effect is, but it makes it like washed out on this side and like dark flat on that side. There's no way to like lock it. Oh, there is. If you hold shift, it locks. So you only are controlling up and down. It's funny. As I said that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try pressing shift. See what happens. Because I always drag it one of those directions. So shift locks it to go up and down, which is nice. Does that mean command locks it the other direction? Oh, learning new things. If your lens has power zoom, you can adjust the zoom. This is your autofocus button. What is this one? I don't remember what that one does now. Oh, maybe it's shutter speed. No. You can just change shutter speed up here. You do get white balance. And then colors, of course. Obviously, that's the main benefit of it. But again, I don't like messing with color grading, so I just don't. And, but this is it. Like, this is what you get to control. So you don't get to actually navigate the menu of the Pocket 4K, which would be very cool if you could access that remotely, but you can't. So if you have a Pocket 4K somewhere far away and you want to change any of the actual settings, you can't really. You can do your exposure adjustments remotely, but that's it. And I think that's a big difference with the Lumix Tether, is that you get full control. You can go in, navigate the menu, just like you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot to change the record quality for the on-camera recording that we're going to do. Let's do that instead. And now that changed it. Cool. Can't do that on the Blackmagic. So that is a very cool feature. And honestly, that's one of the main reasons I like it more than the Blackmagic. Does it have a built-in stabilizer? I don't think it has one like the GH5 cameras do, so it would just be the one in the lens, if anything. You know who actually knows a lot more about these cameras than me, though, is PhotoJoseph. So I would go to him for any more detailed questions. But yeah, they are not cheap cameras, unfortunately. I'm trying to see. The only mention of stabilization is that you can use it on a gimbal. So yeah, I don't think so. No IBIS. Yeah, that was my suspicion. Does it offer the capability to blur the background? Nothing like artificial like phones, but obviously the lens is how you get a blurry background. So I've got mine set to, let's see. I've got mine set to f1.7, which is the maximum that this lens goes. Can I, let's see, let's go to aperture priority. And now I can change the aperture. So if we go all the way open, then the background is now going to be sharp. It's actually too dark in here to get a good exposure. Because ISO is on auto, so it's too dark in here to get a good exposure at f16. Let's go to f12. It's a little better, f11, and you can see the background is pretty sharp. And if we go down to f1.7, then let's make sure we're focused on my face. Now the background is blurry, and if I get closer and focus on my face, the background is blurrier because it's more different at a more different plane than my face. So that's how you really get a blurry background, is you get close to your camera, use a lens with a shallow depth of field, And this looks a little bit too bright now. What did I do? Let's go back to custom mode 1, which was all my presets. It still looks a little bit bright. I should fix that. Maybe the exposure comp needs to come down a little bit. Let's try that. That looks a little better. Although I should probably be doing this on the actual view and not the preview. So this is what it actually looks like now. If I drop it even more, that looks a little bit more spooky. Yeah, we'll go with that. So yeah, that's the deal. Depth of field is shallower with a narrow cropped field of view. Oh, good point too, yeah. Pricing is not far from the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I thought the Pocket Cinema 4K was like $1,200, not $2,000. Now I'm kind of curious. Where did my chat go? The Pocket 4K, $1,300. Okay, 6K is $2,000, so it's the same price as a 6K. But I actually bought this one used for $300 less, and that is my plan. Is I'm going to buy all of the used ones I can find to try to save a couple of $100. And because if I'm going to get like 3 or 4 of these, then if I can save $300 each, that's like a whole nother camera. So yeah. Oh, Petra's here. Hello. Beautiful picture. Love it. Thanks. It has PoE and control over Ethernet, but no NDI, RTMP, or SRT. This price, I would have expected at least NDI. I would not have expected NDI because NDI is not, it's a proprietary thing that the camera companies have to pay for to use. So it's gonna add cost to the product because it costs a couple $100 or something, like usually. Would not have expected NDI, but I believe there actually is RTSP, which is how the computer feed gets the video. And I haven't looked into how to actually get access to it yourself, but let me see if I can find. I wonder if actually it's just on the default port. It might be. What is my... Oh, don't terminate the network connection. What is my IP address? So you can just go into the menu and find your IP address of the camera too. One of the first things I did was I gave it a static address on my router, so that anytime I plug it in here, it will have the same IP, which is important. 10.11.202.1. That's my IP address. And I'm wondering if it's just a default RTSP port, which is what? Default RTSP port. Totally wild guess. 554. Let's find out. 10.11.202.1. 554. Might have to find the actual path of it. But if I just open this, no, okay. I need to find the actual path, but there is a way to do it. Let's see if we can find it in the manual. BGH1 RTSP. Oh, guess what? There is a video about this by PhotoJoseph on the Lumix channel. Your BGH1 has the ability to stream an RTSP stream. There you go. Set it up on the network. Okay, and then all we need to do is, there's the IP, VLC. Where do you, I skipped over it. Where do you type in the actual address? Let's see what he says. Open the network stream. /stream. That's the secret. So let's see if we can do this. Get rid of that one. Open /stream. Did I get the IP address wrong? 10.11.202.1. 202.1. I must have missed a setup step, which is to allow streaming. I wish there were timestamps in this. Aha. Streaming function on. So we go into the menu. We go streaming setup. Streaming function is on. Streaming quality, H.264 Full HD, 60p. Let's change it down to 30p, 3 megs. That sounds more reasonable. And it tells me the port there. So now if I go back to VLC and try to play this, sure enough, there is, oh, it's delayed. Get the audio out of there. But yeah, sure enough, it's streaming over RTSP now. So you can pull up this feed in other places, like, I don't know, there's some RTSP to HDMI converter boxes, for example. You could get one of those and do that over the internet, even if you wanted to, if you're doing your port forwarding or VPNs and stuff. So yeah, RTSP at the very least. And even the VLC stream looks fantastic. It has RTSP, and we sometimes pair with the BirdDog Flex for NDI. Interesting. Okay. We went with BGH1s even though we use ATEMs due to the better remote control and PoE. It makes a huge difference for live events. I agree. I agree. Does it also have a microphone? I believe it does, because I just heard my own voice through the RTSP stream. I wouldn't ever use, I generally don't use onboard camera microphones ever, although some of them are getting a lot better now, but you can plug in external microphones to it. So yeah. This is a good point. Micro Four Thirds is not ideal for shallow depth of field. So yeah, bigger sensor, it's easier to get more blurry background. Thanks, Eric, for the reminder. Currently 121 viewers on today's stream, but only 23 likes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Feed the algorithm. It is a hungry algorithm. It has a mic and headphone port. Yes. So over on my other rig that I use for when I'm shooting this way down the room, I do have a microphone plugged into that camera. So I may do that on one of the cameras if I replace that one with it too. Yeah, anyway, I'm super excited about it. This is, it's pretty much exactly what I wanted in a camera, and I'm not so thrilled about the price, but if I can get them for like $1,600, $1,700, that's more reasonable. So I'm going to try to find them used, which also means that there may be a sudden appearance of used cameras available in my online shop. Just going to put that out there. So I may get rid of a bunch of my G7s. This is the G7. So again, it works perfectly fine for this kind of stuff. I just obviously can't control it, which I normally don't, because I put these in one place and then they're just there. It's rare that I change settings, but yeah, a bunch of those that might go. My overhead camera is actually a Sony a6400, and I may part with that one too. So we'll see. And then I may even try to get rid of the GH5S, because honestly, like I have the GH5 Mark II, which I will keep because that camera is great, and I use that one for B-roll and stuff like that. But the GH5S that I have has been on that stand for a while over there, and I think a BGH one would be better. Yes, onboard camera microphones are ideal to sync multiple videos and externally recorded audio together in post. That is a great reason to have an onboard camera. You don't use the audio in the end result, but you at least are able to then have the software auto sync, which I do all the time. MT says, in case you ordered the BirdDog Play, they are now shipping them. Yeah, I heard about that, which means I should be getting mine because I ordered mine from DVE Store ages ago. I don't even know how long ago it was. So hopefully I get one, and then we'll be able to try more NDI stuff. It's going to be a little bit nicer to use than the NDI Apple TV app, I think. BGH1 outputs SDI and HDMI simultaneously, plus BNC ports for timecode and for Genlock. Oh yeah, I haven't even gotten into the timecode game, mostly because I don't know. I haven't really needed it yet because I mostly just do really long recordings and it's easy to sync up, but that is very cool. I have the hot shoe adapter that adds 2 XLR inputs to the BGH1. Works great. Oh, also very cool. This cam controller sounds like a GoPro QR setup. The GoPro QR thing is really cool, but definitely different than controlling it over the network. Let me scroll back up here to see what Oh, what was I using for the iPhone camera or the handheld camera? Yeah, it is. The trick there is I have an Apple TV that's always connected into. It just lives in the rack, and it's just always connected into my ATEM. And the Apple TV can do a couple of different things. I can run apps on it, so I can run an NDI app if I want to receive an NDI feed, for example. I can also, like, I was able to, because it's signed into my iCloud, I can share a photo album to it and use a photo album as a screensaver so that it's, when I'm not doing anything else, it at least just has like my own photos on a loop. And then you can also AirPlay to the Apple TV. So I can AirPlay my phone to the Apple TV. And if I use the app called Shoot, then that grabs a clean feed of your camera and outputs the clean feed over AirPlay rather than showing like a copy of your phone screen. So if you look at my actual phone, it has, like, I've got the little camera UI bits, right, with choosing what lens to use, other settings and stuff. And the overlays are not shown on the camera feed from the phone itself, which is this. And then I just get a nice little handheld camera, which I can use to show things around without having to really prepare ahead of time for a full-on rig. And as you can see, it's obviously very small to hold, which is nice. But yeah, it's I'm more of an Android person. I think that there's a lot of things you can do with iOS devices and an Apple TV that are useful, even if you have an Android. So like, you don't need to be all in on the iOS ecosystem to have these things be useful. It is convenient that, like, my phone, I usually have it within arm's reach at all times, so it's already here. But like, you could get an old iPod Touch or use an iPad for a camera too. Camera on the phones is a lot better, of course, but that's just one of the things you can do with it. You can also AirPlay photos. So because I've got, you know, I've got my, let's see, this one. So my phone is now just mirrored into the TV, so I can now go load up photos. Let me go grab the photo album from yesterday, and now I'm, you know, this is like AirPlaying, so you're seeing all the phone UI and stuff. But if I play any of the videos, it will go into full screen mode. So this was from our little bike adventure yesterday. Met up with a bunch of people, most of who were just, you know, random people who showed up for the event. And we biked like 10 miles out to Pumpkin Patch. And went and picked pumpkins and went into a corn maze, which was a lot of fun. Most of the ride was on bike paths, and then there was the last long stretch was alongside a highway, which was, at least we were in the shoulder the whole time, but it was noisy, very noisy from all the cars. This video is my GoPro on the front of the bike. This is like the one thing I love GoPros for. This is my GoPro 10, and it's the 10 has the little flaps, so you can, without any additional stuff, you just stick it into the little mount, and then obviously I'm turning and like we're going over bumps and stuff, and look how smooth the footage is. Like, it's so good at stabilizing. But oh yeah, now we get to go across the St. John's Bridge here. That was a cool. The air was terrible though, man. It's been just forest fire city over here. So the video looks like it's stuttering a little bit. I think that's the AirPlay. Oop, someone had a problem with the bike. I don't remember what that was. This is the one downside of AirPlay, is that it's not totally smooth because you are going over your Wi-Fi. But still pretty good considering. This is the part along the highway that is, it was loud, but at least we had a lane. Yeah, the Highway 30 can be a challenge. Yeah. On the way back in the afternoon, I was coming back down Highway 30 the other direction, and was riding, and all of a sudden I was like, what is that sound? Did I like catch a leaf in my tire? It sounds like something is like going around and dragging on the ground. And Oh, that was the other bridge going into the Zombies Island. I was like, what was that sound? And I was like, uh-oh, something doesn't feel right. And I looked down and my back tire had just completely flattened, completely flat. And I don't know what I hit, what happened, but it was just completely flat. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to, luckily I wasn't too far away from a little like driveway that went up the hill. So I was able to pull off of the highway at least and get to had an actual barrier between cars. And had to patch the tire. Didn't have a spare tire on me, but I did have the tools where they live in the bike. And then I had a little patch kit in there, and I had a CO2 inflator, thankfully. So it was very quick to pump it back up. And yeah, I've ridden this bike, my Brompton, for like almost 6 years, and I haven't yet until yesterday gotten a flat in the middle of a ride, where I'm not like just able to, I don't know, walk somewhere to fix it. So it was very frustrating, but I patched it up, made it home, and then this morning the tire was flat again. I guess the patch just didn't hold overnight. And then this morning I was, thankfully I had gloves this morning instead, so my fingers are not all greasy today, and had to replace the tire. And I did have a spare at home. That was lucky. I have to go buy more now. And got to learn about the whole process of taking off the back wheel, which they did a very good job designing that on the Brompton. And it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think now doing it 2 days in a row, I'll remember better next time. Yes. What tires are you running on the Brompton? Never had a flat since changing over to, oh, I don't know what those are. I honestly don't know what tires. I think the ones I have in there came from the bike shop that I last got a tune-up at, and then the ones I just put in are like some cheap ones I just got. So I may have to look for some better tires because it's not fun. Cyclists must be overtaken. Sharp left turns, double yellows, nobody cares. Yeah. Thanks, Eric, for the super chat. Time to start the fundage for the BGH1 number 2. Yeah, that is, thanks for that. And also Drew, thank you for the BGH1 fund. It's going to take a little while to get that. But I think I'm set on at least getting at least one more, hopefully two more. We'll see. I don't think I need literally all the ones, because like this back angle, I don't think anybody's going to care if that's a BGH1 shot. But I want at least the main angle, my secondary angle, probably the overhead. We'll see. So the yeah, keep an eye on the used my shop, because I will post used gear here. I'm gonna have, oops, that one down at the bottom there. I'm gonna put stuff here, and I will. Oh yeah, I still have the TV Studio HD. I forgot about that. I think I'm gonna get rid of that. I think I'm set on the Constellations now, so letting that one go for cheap. But yeah, I'll post some of my G7s and probably the GH5S. Post them there and use that to fund the BGH1. They're definitely it's definitely more expensive, but I think it'll be worth it. But again, the G7s are totally fine. Totally fine camera, which is this camera that you're looking at, I've used for 2 years. What is the name of the app that I use to connect to the Apple TV? Shoot. Yes, Shoot is the name of the app. Good luck searching for that. I think it's called Shoot Clean Feed. Is that the... Let me see if I can find it in the App Store here. Because, man, people who name their apps just generic words, it just is not easy to search for. I don't even know. I don't even know how to search for it. And you can't search your own downloads either, so that's kind of frustrating. I can show you what the icon looks like on my phone. There it is. Back to that view. It is that icon in the bottom right corner. That's what it looks like. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the link is. Sorry. Yeah. Shoot Square TV. Search and updates for the app. There's no search. I can scroll through them, but I can't search it. That's the problem. So I can go like browse. I can browse. Oh, I can look at my purchased apps. Oh, there is a search on the purchased apps now. Shoot Pro webcam and Telestrator. There's the link. Airdrop the link to my computer. There we go. Look at that. Now it's on my computer. Here is the link for the app. I forgot that they added a Telestrator feature to it. Do I have the latest version? I think I do. How does that work? Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so if we go back to that one, tapped. Oh, I don't have the license for it. Apparently, I just have the basic. So let's cancel that. So it's giving me a little watermark, but I can just draw on the screen now, which is kind of cool. So, look at the GoPro. That's cool. And I guess the upgrading removes the watermark. Oh, thanks, Alvin, for the super chat. What is the easiest workflow for making video lessons for my course with the ATEM Extreme Pro External HD? Ah, very good question. Thanks for the super chat. I actually have a video that you should watch about this because I'm pretty happy with the workflow that I was doing for this. It is, where is it? It is a video. Here it is. My complete video production workflow with the ATEM Mini Extreme. Complete video production work. I need a better solution for this. This is probably the next thing I'm going to automate. How do I quickly get a link? Oh, it's going to use the API, so I need to not be rate limited. Complete video production workflow. That's in the chat now. So the video is all about how I use the multi-ISO recording feature in the ATEM to do recordings and that whole process. And I think you will probably find some tips in there. So that is my answer. Shoot Creator was recently on Office Hours YouTube channel, went through a lot of the features. Oh, very cool. Yeah. And he hangs out in the John's Discord too. So I know I've seen him there. Oh, Drew, thank you for the reminder. Check out the super chat from Marcin at the very early in the stream. I completely missed it. I'm so sorry. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Thank you for that. Autumn background is awesome. I'm so sorry. I missed that. This is what I get for not having my normal tools with me, because normally the super chats get queued up on a side separately. So even when I've scrolled way past it, I can still see them. Thanks for that. See you later, Matt. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. What else did I want to chat about? There was something else. I know there was something else. We talked about YouTube. We talked about YouTube streaming over 12 hours. Talked about the new BGH1. Oh, I did want to plug this. Should be a fun little event. So this is actually something I'm doing this week. This is a lighting tutorial at B&H. Oops, my computer is what I wanted to show. On Wednesday, I am going to be doing a panel with B&H on their website, on their account, sponsored by SmallRig, all about lighting. So we are going to talk about a couple of the new SmallRig lights that they just released, and go through some different setups of lighting for streaming. And should be a lot of fun. It's going to be like, I think it's like an hour long, 2 p.m. Eastern. So that's 11. I better get this right. Otherwise I'm going to show up at the wrong time. 11 a.m. Pacific. And that means a little bit later than my normal stream time. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So I'll be chatting with some of the people at B&H, I think, about it. And they do these events, a bunch of these events on their channel all the time. So that should be a lot of fun. Definitely feel free to join. And yeah, the lighting tutorial. Okay, let's see if we can get to some other questions. How do you combine additional camera angles or high quality footage that wasn't recorded via the ATEM, e.g. 4K direct to camera? Very good question. I do. Couple different things I do there. Sometimes I will take my main camera and record that into its internal SD card at 4K, and then record other angles in the ISO and the ATEM Mini Extreme, and onto a USB drive. So then, as long as there's audio on the camera feed, microphone, like built-in microphones are fine. Then you dump that onto the SD card, and then you can sync it up later in Resolve. So if it's, you can use the auto sync feature where it'll match up the audio. But even then, if you just have like a clap, you can sync it up visually, especially if it's like one hour long track. Then you can just look for you line it up manually. It's not that hard. So that's one thing I've done. The other thing that I do sometimes is I shoot all of my B-roll in 4K with the GH5 Mark II. And in that case, I'm usually shooting it at like 120 frames a second so I can slow it down. And in that case, I'm shooting it all completely separately, so there is nothing to automatically line up. And I will just drop it into the timeline at the right spot. So I will have my main dialogue stretched out over the whole timeline. And there'll be a bunch of jump cuts in there, of course. And then I will take B-roll and slap it on top. And slap it on top and cover up jump cuts and things like that. The other way that you could do it is if you are doing, if you're doing not a full like continuous recording, but if you're doing small bits and pieces here and there, definitely make sure you're getting decent audio in all of them. Make sure at least the volume's up in all of them. And then you can use the audio sync tool in Resolve, and it will do a very good job of lining up all the bits and pieces. The ISO clips that you get off of the ATEM Mini will automatically already be in sync because they're all exactly the same, but the one other camera would need to get inserted into the right spot. So lots of different options for it, and I definitely do that quite often. Oh, Drew was reminding me that I got the time wrong. B&H streams at 5 Eastern, not 2 p.m. So thank you for that. It's right on the top of the page. I don't know why. 5 p.m. Eastern. This must be the actual live thing that's going to stream at Vimeo, and Vimeo knows my browser is in Pacific time, so it's showing me my local time. Which means if you visit this page, it should show it to you in your local time right there. Sorry for all the people in Europe then, because that's super late in Europe. But it will be recorded, and you can always watch it back later. I have the ATEM Pro ISO SDI. I have that one over here. Need to feed to Zoom and record since I only have one USB-C. What do you recommend? There is only one USB-C. That is a downside of the minis, not the extremes. The extremes get two. But if you need to feed to Zoom and record to a USB drive, you're going to need something else that can be your webcam adapter for it. So actually, this is set up exactly to do this right now. It's funny. Let me show you what I have on here. Get back into shoot. So over here, I do use the ATEM SDI Pro on the PK1 stand so that I can put the monitor on top, which is how this works. What makes this all work. Let me get the exposure. Oh, let's get rid of the watermark. There we go. And Where's my exposure settings? I just wanted to, I wanted to see that better. Come on. I don't know how to use this app, apparently. Yeah. Close enough. You get the idea. Point is, this is, I've got 3 cameras in there, and I'm not recording on this one, but I could. And I do actually often record on this, and I will put a USB drive in there. On top of it is the Blackmagic Video Assist. The newest Video Assist models also support webcam out via USB-C. So you could use this exact kit, ATEM Pro SDI ISO, USB drive there to record your ISO feeds, HDMI out to the Video Assist. Obviously, you don't put it in multi-view mode then. So if you switch it to, oh, actually it's funny, it's not technically in multi-view mode. Where is it? Oops, wrong one. That's right, there's 2 SDI outs on the, oh, this is even better. Okay, so that's right. I totally forgot about this. This is perfect. There's 2 SDI outs on the Pro ISO. So over here, output 1 is multi-view. So send multi-view to a monitor that you want to use for monitoring yourself. But then output 2, you can send program. So actually, I think I want it the other way around. I think output 1 is going to become program. Yeah. Nope. Output 2. Output 2 is program. And now that monitor changed to the camera feed that I'm showing you, so you get the tunnel vision. This is now clean feed, clean pass through of your program into the Video Assist, which you can then use as the webcam. So USB out from Video Assist to your computer, USB on the ISO to your hard drive. And then you still get another SDI out for your multi-view, because there's 2 SDI outs on that ATEM, which is super cool. Well, USB webcam out is only available in the 12G model, not in the 3G version. Yeah, that's the newest one, right? So this was part of the, let's go to the Blackmagic website. In the, where do they have them? Monitoring, Blackmagic Video Assist. Let's find all the models. The 3G ones are the older ones from a couple of years ago, right? The HDR ones are the new ones, and these are the ones that they added the webcam feature to. So you do have to get the more expensive, but they are 12G SDI, HDR, super cool, super fancy. Of course, there's other ways you can do this cheaper too, but this is a nice convenient option. Also, you could record a higher quality version of your program if you wanted to in this. But you're already in a good situation with the SDI Pro ISO because of the 2 SDI outs. And this was a big limit of the original minis. Because you can use one SDI out for your multi-view, the other SDI out you can send to anything. And you can send the program copy to anything. So send it to a Video Assist if you want, or you can send it to a any other SDI USB capture card, right? Which you can get a lot cheaper. I have one that I got somewhere here. Let me set that back, right? The, what was it? SDI capture. Is that going to work? No. SDI. That's too broad. It is I think it's AV Matrix. Not finding the link. What was it called? It was called SDI capture. Yes, here it is. Okay. So a little cheaper than, well, quite a bit cheaper than the Video Assist. It's $200. It is a SDI based, although I think it also has HDMI. Yeah, it does. Capture card. So let me drop this link in so that you can see what I'm talking about. SDI capture card. That is this one, and it's $200. Has SDI and HDMI, and this would work too. So that's $200 instead of $800. Obviously, you lose the preview of it, but that's probably fine. I have that one somewhere in the rack. Oh, and Data Video has an SDI capture too. Yeah. If you have been audited in the past 12 months and have been marked compliant by YouTube API Services team, you can apply for an additional quota extension. I have not talked to YouTube at all about any API situations, so I should probably do that. Although if I'm going to do that at this point, I should probably like... One of the reasons I haven't wanted to turn my other chat view into letting anybody else use it is because I don't want to deal with getting the additional quotas I would need to make it work, because basically it just pulls the API very frequently on behalf of your account, and it can very quickly run through the quotas, and the more people I add to it, the quicker I'm going to hit those limits. So I feel like if I'm going to go down that road, I should probably turn it into an actual product that people can use. So, oh well. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully that helps with the SDI Pro ISO recording situation. Am I still using the Video Hub? No, it is currently powered off. I wanted to see if I could run the entire, set up the entire rig here without the Video Hub to see if the Constellation would work itself. And so far, I've been pretty happy with it. But I have run into the limit. I filled up all the inputs on the Constellation 2 ME and outputs. So they've all got jobs. And my long-term plan is I want the 4 ME, which has twice as many inputs and outputs. But it seems like it may just not ever exist. And I'm getting a little bit worried that it's just not going to exist. The 4ME is this 2U, and it has 40 inputs and 24 outputs instead of the 20 and 12. And that is more than I have in my matrix, so should be fine. But I think it may not ever exist, and I'm a little bit worried about it. And I don't really want to spend that much money on the Constellation 8K. Also, I don't ever plan on doing 8K anything. 4K might be nice, but that's a lot of money. Also, it means that I've missed out on it at its cheaper price, which was originally $99.95, which is also a lot of money. I was much more okay about that amount, $36.95. And if this just doesn't exist, and I end up just buying this from DVD Store that they've loaned it to me for quite a long time now, but if I just buy it from them, then I will need more inputs because I have more things that I want to plug in. So I may end up going back to the Matrix, the SDI switcher. So I'll probably keep some things hardwired into it, but I'll put a bunch of the stuff that I don't use all the time on the Matrix. And then I just have to figure out how many ins and outs go to which of the ports and all that stuff, which is going to be a challenge and a project. And then I also, of course, I'm going to lose the ability to do the cool audio thing that only the 4ME and 8K have, which is the digital audio extraction over MADI. So I'm a little sad about that. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Reminder, Lily's stream is in 15 minutes. Yes, it is. We're going to head over there shortly. She is talking today about budgeting with variable income, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to because I'm sure a lot of us deal with variable income with this type of work of getting gigs and things like that. So it should be fun. Looks like the video on everything got fuzzy after you couldn't adjust the camera that was showing your workflow. Maybe it's just something to do with my YouTube, so I'll refresh it. Yeah, do that. Everything looks fine here. YouTube sometimes just drops you down to a lower resolution for reasons. I'm looking to invest in an 8x8 HDMI matrix switcher. Any recommendations? What am I using? I'm using the Blackmagic SDI switch 20x20. I have not been super impressed with the HDMI ones. It's not really the fault of the people making them. It's mostly the fault of HDMI itself, which takes quite a long time to renegotiate. So think of the matrix as like, it's almost the same as physically unplugging a cable and plugging it in somewhere. So it's very nearly identical to that. So if you have a, it's just that it does it electronically and with buttons and stuff. But if you imagine what happens when you take a camera, unplug a cable, and then plug it into a different screen, it's going to have to renegotiate with that screen. So it's going to be like, you're going to see flickering, and it's going to take a couple seconds. That'll happen every time you switch on the matrix. So just keep that in mind. It'll renegotiate. There's not a lot of good ways around that, and it's one of the reasons that I completely abandoned all hopes of using HDMI switchers a long time ago and went all SDI. So if you don't mind that, like, you're definitely not going to switch that live during a show or not while it's on air. But if you're okay with that, it can work. Some of them also make obnoxious beeping noises. So just double check that, like, it doesn't have loud beeps. It sounds silly, but really, trust me, it's going to drive you absolutely mad. The other thing is, some of them have control over any kind of remote. So some of them are serial remotes, which don't do that, because good luck finding a way to automate that. Some of them have network control, so double check that yours does. And in particular, if you want to automate it, go look at and see if there's a way to control it over just regular HTTP so that you can program it into a companion, or if there already is a companion module for it. And we have one recommendation for a no hassle 8x8. Okay, good. I haven't played with that one. I tried, I think, 2 different brands. I don't remember the brands anymore. It was like 2 years ago at this point. And I was just like, no, this is not good enough. And the SDI is not perfect by any means. It's not a clean switch. It still is like unplugging and replugging an SDI cable, but SDI doesn't do negotiation. So the most that you get is like a couple of black frames, or if you are switching between SDI signals that are the same, then you can, it's almost nearly clean. You might get a frame because the timing was a little bit off. But if you're switching something from like 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second sources going into a monitor, the monitor will be like, oh, I need to, like, you know, switch into 60 frames per second mode or whatever. So it's not instant, but it's much, much faster than doing it over HDMI. That's my 2 cents on HDMI switchers. And Eric is pointing out that yes, EDID is a downfall of HDMI. It auto-negotiates everything. Raul says, 2ME does not do the trick with the X32. Yeah, it unfortunately doesn't have MADI audio internally. And I assume that internal MADI audio is something that they're not going to add in firmware update. I have a feeling that requires hardware. So if they do abandon the 4ME completely, I doubt they'll even be able to add MADI audio into the 2ME, which is a real bummer. So there are clean switch HDMI switchers. ATEM is a manufacturer that does, yes, I should have mentioned that also. Obviously, the ATEM Mini is also a clean switch HDMI switcher. Like if you get the Extreme, it's also a 8-in, 2-out HDMI matrix and clean switch, which is super cool. So, you know, the monitor or whatever you're plugging into will negotiate with the ATEM itself, and then that output is constant. So if you change between inputs on the ATEM, obviously the HDMI out is all resynced and rescaled. So there are some that do that over HDMI with more than 8x2. A10 does make some of those. They get very, very expensive very quickly. And my the reason that I abandoned this plan was because they get really expensive. They get more expensive than the SDI switchers. And you're still at the mercy of the other limits of HDMI. So length, cable length being the big one of like, if you want to have a 30-foot long cable run, cross your fingers that you're going to be able to find a cable that works and it's going to work with the cameras you have. And 30 feet would be about the most I would expect to ever work at all. So, with SDI, you can go 300 feet, no problem. And 30 feet is like, it doesn't even think twice. So for a very small space, you can probably get away with it over HDMI, but even in this room, I didn't want to deal with that. Oh, another good point. HDMI also has the HDCP problem. People plug in laptops. Far too often, the screen will not mirror to their projectors or stream. And this depends on the laptop and other things as to whether HDCP is going to bite you. But yeah, good times. Do I use diagramming software to plan my different setups that has an updated library with the current AV hardware, Blackmagic, etc.? Yes, in fact, it is called H2R Gear. It is made by John Barker. His channel is Here to Record. You should also watch his videos because he has a bunch of good videos. H2R Gear is great software, and let me see if I can find a diagram. Did I remember the URL wrong? It says it's unreachable. Uh-oh. Or is it just down? No, I did get the URL right. Okay. My computer just glitched out. Now it's fine. Okay. Wonderful. Here is a plan I did for ResolveCon it was describing, not planning, but this was showing what we had set up at ResolveCon with the Constellation 2ME, all the cameras. It has a very good library of things in it, but also you can just make your own. So I think I made this one, and you can just go and add inputs and outputs, whatever you want. It's very quick to do that. Yes, cookies are fine. And show how things are connected. It's very cool. I use this a ton. And yeah, add gear. So there's a good library of, you can also search community created devices, and there's a ton of stuff in here. And then you can also just make your own, which is very handy. Oh, I forgot the R. I just said H2 gear. No wonder that didn't work. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. H2R gear. There we go. Ignore the first link. Should I shoot 60 or 30 frames per second for YouTube videos? Personal opinion, frankly. I think if you have source material that would benefit from 60, which is going to be like high action stuff, gameplay, sports, then 60. But for most talking head stuff and B-roll of products and stuff and capturing a computer screen, 60 is unnecessary. So I don't shoot or publish 60 frames per second videos on my channel. I stream in 30. Okay, a couple more minutes and then we're going to move over to Lily's channel. We should automatically redirect when the stream ends. So I haven't got any texts from her, so that means that there's been no problems with her stream. Let's see if she's up and running. Yeah. Excellent. And her countdown timer is even started. Look at that. No glitches this week. Cross your fingers. 30 or 60 is NTSC, 25 or 50 is PAL. Yes, if you're in Europe, maybe go for 25 or 50 instead. Doesn't really matter on the internet at the end of the day. Okay, see if I can get a couple of these really quick. Yeah, no chat message from $0 is good news. It means things are not falling apart at the home studio. What would be the ideal set to live stream 24/7 4 cameras having the... Yep. It's gone. Here is a recommendation for the HDMI 8x8 matrix, scaler, and video wall controller, but be prepared for a hefty price tag. Yes. Ooh, how can I correct camera delay? You can't really, but you can compensate for it by delaying the audio to match. I'm sure there's somewhere a very expensive solution to delay a few frames of video, but generally what you do is you delay your audio to match the video. So if your audio is coming in separately from the camera, then you have to delay that to match the delay of your camera. A lot of cameras will have between 4 and 6 frames of video delay, and you'll need to delay your audio to match that. And if you're using cameras with different delay, it just will be a problem. So that's another benefit to having cameras that are all the same, is that all the video delays will be the same. Okay, last question. Is there any platform to test a stream privately for free? My two recommendations are the YouTube. You can make a private stream on YouTube. It's free. You do have to have a channel qualifications to stream, but it's just a verified phone number, I think. You can make a private stream on YouTube, stream to that. Nobody else can see it except you when you're logged in. The other one is Ohmcast. It's not really meant for a private stream, but you can use it for that. And this is what I was using for the 3D printer stream. It is software that you install on something like a cloud server or on a Raspberry Pi or whatever you want. It's very easy to install, and then it gives you a stream key, and then you push to it and it'll show you the stream. If you run this on like a Raspberry Pi in your own studio, then it's not even on the internet, so it's good for testing stuff like that. I'm a big fan of this. It's open source, it's free, and just gotta find something to run it on. Yep. Cool. All right. I think we're gonna wrap this up here, and then go ahead and roll over to Lily's stream. So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions, and thanks for the super chats. Thanks for your super chats funneling into my BGH1 camera fund. That'll be fun. Other way you can support the channel is, of course, watching my videos and live streams. And the more you watch, then the more the numbers tick up on my end, and it helps quite a lot. So please watch my videos and feed the algorithm. So thanks everybody. I appreciate y'all being here every week and tuning in and listening to me ramble on about streaming and gear. So I will see you all again next week. Bye.